Welcome to the October 2024 edition of Hunt Camp Mail. In addition to my usual hunting and gun instructional and commentary videos, I did a couple of adventure videos for you. I took you off-roading and fishing in the high Sierras with me, and I took you along with me for the quail opener, and I hope you enjoyed those videos. Well, Halloween is upon us, and it's that time of year for my more sensitive viewers among us to get triggered by my Halloween decorations and accuse me of making a pact with the devil. To you guys, I offer a big bag of dicks for you to feast upon. Last month's 50th episode Hunt Camp Mail special was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed the questions that I received from my viewers. And as always, I enjoy everybody's continued support, especially through 50 episodes of Hunt Camp Mail. But many of you are eager to return back to the hunting and fishing related questions that you're used to. So let's get to this month's mail. And our first letter is from Cody. Cody wrote, "What are your thoughts on the new Ruger Hawkeye African chambered in .35 Whelen?" Well, I think it's a fantastic idea that Ruger's may be executing all wrong. Ruger has a history of screwing good things up. They really do. And I fear that they're doing that with these guns as well. Yes, the Hawkeye African and .35 Whelen will sell like crazy. I mean, it already has. The problem is that you'll probably never get one. These things were pretty much back ordered and sold before they even hit the production line. And what a lot of people don't understand is this was just a limited special production run that they did for ellipses, and everyone wanted one so bad. I fear that Ruger won't make any more of them, and that's kind of pretty much what Ruger does. Remember when they chambered some rifles in .416 Remington Magnum? People jumped all over them. They sold like crazy, and then Ruger never made them again. But if they really wanted to make a lot of money, if they were to ever ask me for my advice, they would have chambered their stainless laminate guide guns in .35 Whelen. And those would make the ultimate all-around Alaska rifle and the perfect gun for hunting animals like moose and wet marshy areas. A controlled round feed .35 Whelen is on almost every hunter's radar, but manufacturers these days are too concerned with the 22 Creedmoor and the 7 PRC to notice what people want. And our next letter is from Robert. Robert wrote, "I just got back from my second buffalo hunt with CMS in Zimbabwe. I saw your sticker on the inside of the cabinet in my hut in Karunga camp. I cranked your website up when I got back and found your second packing video, and I'm curious why you changed from the Maxpedition to the KIFARU Day Pack. Do you have a model number or name? The KIFARU site does not show it, but it does show the Echo Pack, which is similar." Yeah, I remember putting that sticker there and wondering if anybody was ever going to find it. But hopefully you treated my pet frog and my pet gecko in that hut with a lot of kindness. I'm particularly fond of the frog in that hut, which like to climb in bed with me at night. On that trip, I chose to carry a larger carry-on bag because I didn't want any valuables or electronics in my check bag going through multiple African countries. The bag I used is known as the KIFARU Spike Camp, which was KIFARU's most popular and probably most well-regarded pack that they ever made. It's perfect for many tasks because it's just a big top-loading day bag that carries way more than any other pack in this size range. And it's got a nice frame on it too, so this thing can load out deer quarters. In fact, that's initially what it was designed for. Unfortunately, KIFARU stopped making their most popular pack, the Spike Camp, which kind of boggles the mind. But the closest thing you have to it today is probably their Manimal pack, which is about the same size as this old Spike Camp. And our next letter is from Wayne in San Marcos, California. Wayne wrote, "Thank you, Desert Dog, for being such an inspiration to this old dog. I have no mentors. My mentors really were the guides I hired to hunt and any info I can glean from anywhere. I also started reloading out of necessity 4 years ago because I couldn't find any ammo. Out of all of my mentors, you've been the most inspirational, and I will say you've helped me on my journey the most. Thank you, Desert Dog. You have inspired me to go on my first African safari in 2025, which I'm now preparing for. So here's my question. The 416 Remington Magnum, do I head space off the belt or the shoulder?" Well, congratulations on finally getting out on your dream Africa safari. Just remember that this is dangerous game ammunition. This is not precision ammunition. So you're not loading for extreme precision or to have a tight fit in the chamber. You load dangerous game ammo with safety and reliability in mind, and that's all you need to be concerned with. Full length resize every fired case, because that maybe sloppier fit in the chamber will add to the reliability of your ammunition. Make sure that all your cases are trimmed to the same length so the crimp is in the exact same place every time. Do not use the roll crimp feature on your seating die. Make sure that you're crimping with a Lee factory crimp die. That's the way to go. Also, seat your bullets to the corresponding cantilure or driving band on the bullet and put your crimp inside that groove. This will prevent bullet setback or a pulled bullet while your cartridges are in that rifle in a life or death situation. And it goes without saying, don't load to maximum pressures with your dangerous game ammunition. Keep your ammo safe and reliable. Don't expect long brass life either with your 416 Rem Mag. You just don't want to risk using the brass too much. I don't take any loads to Africa with me with brass that has been fired more than 3 times. And our next letter is from Jorge in Portugal. Jorge wrote, "First of all, I want to introduce myself saying I'm an avid fan of your channel and content. Always straight and honest information. I really appreciate it if you can help me choosing a second-hand rifle here in Portugal. I'm a big fan of 270 Winchester and the venerable 30-06 and had good results with shots well below 250 yards. I've been dreaming of having a Winchester Model 70 for years. Never found one in the past new or used, simply because they stopped producing for the European market. This week, one local gun store published a Winchester Model 70 and 270 Winchester Short Magnum, the model Classic Hunter. This particular model was designed to fill the European need for a driven wild boar hunt with fast shots and short barrels. My dilemma is that this rifle comes with a 22-inch barrel. Will a 22-inch barrel and 270 Winchester Short Magnum perform to all of its potential?" Well, Jorge, the simple answer is no, it won't. The 270 Winchester Short Magnum is a great cartridge. I like it, but it's also a very overbore cartridge. And this means that it has a high case volume to bore area ratio. Cartridges like these need a longer barrel to use all that slow burning powder effectively. The 270 WSM usually needs slightly slower powders than the old 270 Winchester does, and it uses more powder as well. Probably a 25 or ideally a 26-inch barrel would probably be most appropriate for that cartridge in my opinion. But a 22-inch barrel is just way too short for a 270 WSM in my opinion, and you're better off using a 30-06 or a 308 at that point. And our next letter is from Jack from Serbia. Jack wrote, I've been following various firearm-related channels on YouTube, and I have to admit your channel stands apart from many, if not all of them. To be fair, there's great content on many channels, but what bothers me are constant reminders that either they make certain commissions from companies whose products they promote, or they post links where they suggest you can buy the products they just reviewed. I'm not questioning their honesty, but I do believe there is a subconscious need to say good things about a product somebody gave you for free to review. Knowing you review products you bought yourself with your hard-earned money gives me a level of confidence I don't get from the other channels. I hope you will continue the same way in the future and keep up the great work. Well, thank you for the kind letter, Jack, and I believe you're the first Serbian to ever write Hunt Camp Mail. And welcome to Desert Dog Outdoors. If someone wants me to review an American-made product and there's no restrictions on the level of honesty I can publish that review with, I would be receptive to it. Unfortunately, nobody wants a negative review, so the deal never happens with me because I won't enter into any type of agreement. You better be very confident in your gear if you send it to me, because I'll use it hard and I'll give it an honest review. But trust me, I get offers for free of charge product trials and collaborations on products every week, but none of them really want to do it on my terms. I also don't bother with products made in China. I get somebody with a Chinese product almost on a daily basis, if not every few days, wanting to send me one of their Chinese products to review it. I'm just not going to do that. Most manufacturers, though, have a business model where they want sales from constant product releases, and YouTube influencers rely on revenue from the reviews of these new product releases all the time. And I'm just not part of that cycle, but I wouldn't say they're all dishonest. I mean, did you watch the last Ron Spomer video where he brought in that brand new Remington 700 rifle? The new owners supposedly fixed all the quality problems, but that's not what I'm hearing. And I was kind of waiting for Ron to give him kind of a fluff review, but to his credit, that Model 700 that they sent him was an absolute piece of shit. Basically, the bolt face was warped on it, and the extractor on it broke after a few rounds. So, he actually showed that in his video. So I'll give him credit for that, and I'll give a lot of other YouTube creators credit for attempting to give you an honest review, even though they're reviewing products they didn't pay for. And our next letter is from Michael. And Michael must not watch a lot of Hunt Camp Mail because he did not say where he was from. Michael wrote, I am a complete novice at anything hunting and feel like I should work on getting more informed. I don't own any rifles, but want to buy one, but I'm not sure what I'd pick if I only had one. Part of the thought process is, if I only had one gun and you needed to be able to defend yourself and hunt with it, what gun would you choose? Well, this is impossible to answer, Michael, because you need to be more specific about what type of hunting you want to do. It's always better to have a separate hunting and home defense firearm, because anything else is a compromise. The simplest hypothetical answer would be to get a good pump action shotgun, then get a short barrel for home defense with buckshot, a longer ribbed barrel for bird hunting, and a slug barrel for deer hunting. I mean, this really is the only setup that'll reasonably do everything. But if bird hunting's out of the question, then something like an AR-10 chambered in 6.5 Creed, 7mm 08, or 308 will do what you want as well. Hell, a lever action 30-30 filled that role for over 100 years. In the end, though, it's best to have a dedicated home defense firearm and a dedicated hunting gun. And to be honest with you, intruders at my house will be met with double-aught buckshot. So that tells you. And our next letter is from Anthony in Belgium. Anthony wrote, "Hi, Desert Dog. First of all, thanks for your channel and the wealth of information it contains. What advice would you give to foreign hunters who want to live in the United States and then fully live their hunting passion? What traps to avoid, references to know, clubs or associations to meet, etc. I've always loved the USA, especially because I am living in this quasi-communist country that's Belgium. I have family there, and your advice would be good to many Europeans who want to live in this magnificent, immense, and free country." Well, thank you for the letter, Anthony. And I think Belgium is a beautiful country, and I really enjoy visiting there. But given the choice, of course, I also live in the United States for the reasons that you stated. Hunting here in the U.S. is very easy. You know, when you get your permanent resident status, or what we call a green card, you can go to a sporting goods store and buy any hunting rifle or shotgun that you want. Then you take a hunter safety course and pass a test to get a state hunting license. And once you pass that hunter safety course, you're usually eligible to purchase a hunting license in almost any state after that. For a hunting lifestyle, though, I highly recommend that you move to one of the western states. Not the coastal western states, of course, but one of the Mountain West states, because you'll have free access to huge amounts of public land to hunt or fish on, and that just isn't the case in the eastern United States. So if you want to come here and live the hunting lifestyle, I recommend one of the western states with large amounts of public land. Ironically, I'm currently working on a video right now that touches on the subject that you brought up a little bit, so stay tuned for that. And our next letter is from George from Wyoming. George wrote, "I got a 64.5 pounder before I got heat stroke and nearly died." And here's some pictures of George's 64-pound bull and a picture of him dying of heat stroke. George, that is a really nice old broke down bull, and that's something any hunter would be proud of. But it looks like from the picture, maybe you're in Zimbabwe in the late season heat. You were likely hunting free range bulls for 10 to 20 miles a day of walking on foot in the heat. And here's the likely scenario of what happened to you. I'm going to take a wild guess here. One of the trackers was probably carrying a backpack full of your bottled water for the day. And you don't want to constantly interrupt the tracker to get water because he's busy tracking animals. So you just keep walking and getting more and more dehydrated, mainly because it's inconvenient to ask. But I'm telling you, that's a huge mistake. When I go on hunts like this, if you watch my videos, you'll see that I'm always wearing cargo shorts, like baggier cargo shorts. And I actually keep water bottles in my pocket so I can keep sipping water during the hunt. If my wife is with me, she carries a really small backpack with her, and we have water in that. Just make sure that you don't squeeze or make a lot of noise with the water bottles while you drink, because you could spook animals, and they really won't like that. But most PHs in Africa, especially on that type of free-range dangerous game hunt, make it a point to keep their clients well hydrated. But they're also busy on the hunt too, and they also don't know your personal heat tolerance. I mean, I live in a place where it's over 100 degrees for half the year, so I have a very high heat tolerance. But you're from Wyoming, so you probably don't. At the end of the day, staying hydrated is your responsibility. So I chalk that up to a lesson learned, and hopefully everybody watching this video also learns from your mistake. And our next letter is from Vincent in New Jersey. Vincent wrote, "Your special Hunt Camp Mail 50th episode was spectacular. I've only been watching for a year, and it made me go back and watch old episodes so I can catch up on what you and your longtime subscribers were talking about. One episode in particular where you sparred with an anti-hunter named Mary was some of the best commentary I've ever seen. Like in your state, Democrats in my state blame hunters for trashing our forests when they are the actual culprits. When you showed Mary what her hometown of San Jose, California looks like, with all the trash, crime, and graffiti, I bet she never took her blinders off to see the truth. Thank you for your great content. Well, thank you, Vincent from New Jersey. Yeah, you're right. I mean, leftists will always turn a blind eye to anything that doesn't meet their own political narrative. When a hunter sees somebody trashing the wilderness, we always speak up, whether it's another hunter or a camper or a hiker or just a family out there, having a nice day out in the wilderness. If somebody's trashing our wilderness, every hunter I know is going to speak up because that's the right thing to do. But leftists will literally walk by a woman being assaulted on the street and pretend that they saw nothing. So what makes you think that they'll scold another liberal for trashing the environment? Because they won't. But if these same people see a camouflage shirt or a MAGA hat or somebody with an American flag, they'll surely get triggered and probably make a scene because they see those people as the enemy. But if they see somebody of color or somebody with blue hair doing the same thing, they'll completely ignore it. If you paid close attention to my exchange with Mary in that video, you'll also see that I agreed with her about careless hunters leaving their shotgun shells all over the place. And, I even mentioned in that video that as hunters, we have to do better as well. And our next letter is from Hans in Germany. And Hans wrote, I saw on your Instagram account that you visited my country. How did my people treat you? Well, Hans, everybody was great. I've dealt with Germans and been friends with Germans for many years, so I kind of know the ins and outs of that culture. And of course, my son lives there now, so he does as well. But I had a great time. We went to Oktoberfest, drove all the way up to Cologne. I've actually never been to Luxembourg before, so we went there. I had a fantastic time, and yes, in case you're curious, I did dust off the lederhosen and wear them. This. That's weird. And our next letter, and you're going to like this one, is from Mike from Kentucky. Mike wrote, between your is load development real and recent barrel harmonics videos, you have me sitting here doubting everything I've done when it comes to reloading. I learned to reload in a classroom 20 years ago from a respected master. The best reloaders in the world were trying to tune loads for barrel harmonics, and we were always shown diagrams of barrels whipping around or bending when shot. Now that the science is telling us that this happens after the bullet is out of the barrel, what is the purpose of load development anymore? I feel like a religious person who died and found out the religion was wrong the whole time. Mike, that's actually the best analogy I've ever heard to explain how reloaders feel these days. You know, we did follow traditional load development religiously, and now we know that barrel harmonics was kind of a false prophet the whole time. But, you know, I'll admit it, some loads seem better than others, especially for shooters who need consistent velocity, like long distance competition shooters. When we see velocity flat spots, or what we call nodes, sometimes those really are areas where consistency exists. I mean, if you saw my Is Load Development Real video, look at the SDs between my node and my anti-node on those 20 shot groups. You know, by the same token though, those of us who do serious load development also tend to have OCD when it comes to making very precise ammo. When you closely control neck tension, concentricity, powder charges to the smallest grain, seating depth, and only use the best components available, you're going to have consistency. Then you take this perfect ammo that you just obsessed over and shoot it through a perfect Bartlein barrel, and it's going to shoot amazing. Then you give all the credit to your load development rather than realizing that it was probably your perfectly loaded ammunition and your magical barrel that was really responsible. And our next question is from James in California. James wrote, I saw that you used your 828 on your last outing. How has it been treating you? Do you still have the same negative opinions about it today? I've been on the fence about getting an 828. Well, in that original video, I sent my 828U back to Benelli 2 times. You know, once for non-functional ejectors and once for a loose rib on the gun. They fixed both issues, and I had no issues with the gun during the following season. But as you know, I clean, lightly oil, and store my guns when hunting season's over, and this is what I experienced this year. Little update on my 828U. It's a day before the dove opener, and I last shot this 828U in January on my last pheasant hunt before the close of the season, and I cleaned it up and put it away in storage back in its case, and I just took it out of the case and putting it back together to go dove hunting for September 1st, and look what I found. While it's set, cleaned, and lightly oiled, it developed some rust in the case. And also, another thing I just found out while I was putting it together, the carbon fiber rail is loose again. Just not holding up to the test of time here. So I've had this 828U out now for all of the dove opener. Went out about 4 or 5 times dove hunting for the first dove season. And then quail season just opened. And I went out and hunted a couple days for the quail opener. Got my limits both days. But I just took apart the shotgun to look at it. And as you could see, it's kind of developing more surface rust, it looks like. Look at the ejectors right there, and even on the chamber face right there. Looks like I'm developing more rust spots, man. Tell you what, expected a little bit more out of Benelli. So my issues with the 828U are kind of heartbreaking. You know, not because of the price, which it is overpriced, but because this gun fits me like no other over and under that I've ever used. And it shoots smoother, I think, than any other over and under in its weight class. It's like almost the perfect upland gun, to tell you the truth. And I really want to like this gun because I shoot it so well, and it's just a joy to carry with me all day. Unfortunately, I cannot, in good conscience, recommend it to you. You know, I shouldn't have a love-hate relationship with a gun, but this girl is really playing with my emotions. Our next letter is from Jose in San Bernardino, California. Jose wrote, I love watching your California quail hunts. You hunt just like me, alone and with no dog. Many of my friends hunt with a dog, and I always get more birds than they do. It seems like you experience the same thing. Is a dog really necessary? This is actually a question and a comment I get all the time, but I've kind of left it off a Hunt Camp Mail, and maybe it's time to do a separate video on the subject. I don't know, but the answer is no. A dog is never necessary. People who claim that a dog is necessary are usually poor hunters that use their dog as a crutch. There are certain types of hunting where a dog will greatly increase your odds, like chukar hunting, for instance. And also I think dogs are a godsend for recovering birds in really thick cover. But let's go to California quail for a second, because that's what you're talking about here. California quail are a completely different situation, in my opinion. And dogs are often a disadvantage when hunting this particular bird. Dogs that are used to hunting planted birds will absolutely ruin a California quail hunt. California quail are as wild as a bird can get, and these birds are not going to let your dog get close and point at them. These birds are going to flush before your dog gets within 20 yards of them, and that usually means that the birds are spooked by the dog before you're in shooting range where you're standing. Also, California quail respond to noise more than any other bird I've ever hunted. And a guy walking around yelling commands at his dog is not going to see a lot of birds. Most dog owners are just too loud when it comes to hunting wild quail. And another advantage I'll bring up is sometimes when I quail hunt, I just go out there to walk around and think. Sounds ridiculous, but I do that. I mean, maybe, I'm really stressed out at work, or I have a personal problem I'm working through. And a lot of times just grabbing my pack and putting a couple shells in a shotgun and going out walking by myself without anybody talking to me, without trying to constantly control a dog. A lot of times that's just kind of medicine for my soul, and I enjoy doing that. So even if I had a dog right now and I was taking a dog out with me, there would be times where I would leave that dog at home just because I just enjoy the tranquility of it just being me and Mother Nature. Might say, once in a while I have a date with Mother Nature. So yes, I usually do better on California quail without a dog, but I do better with dogs on other species. And, you can't deny that. This topic is just brought up so much that I'll probably end up eventually doing a video on it. And our last letter is from John in Fort Worth, Texas. John wrote, people often say that one powder is good for 30-06, another powder is good for 7mm Rem mag, and another powder is good for 22-250. But when you look at reloading books, they have many powders listed for the same round. Why is this? Well, as I've stated many times, you can't claim that one powder is the best for any given cartridge because it's highly dependent on bullet weight. For any given cartridge, as you go up in bullet weight, you need a slower burning powder to achieve your target velocities with those heavier bullets. For reference, print out a powder burn rate chart from the internet, then take a look at your reloading manual, and you'll see that the powders get slower as the bullet weight increases. Well, that's it for this month's letters. Here's some memes for the month of October. For those of you wondering, I did put a hold on the comments for my barrel harmonics video. Let me explain what happened there. The rad load development bots found that video and just started flooding it with spam reviews. The owner of rad load development did comment on that video, and so did some of his students, which is fine. I have no problem with that. But after that, he must have put out a call to action among his followers, because that video was flooded with over 30 rad development reviews in just 5 minutes. So I shut it down because my channel is not an infomercial for people to advertise their products. Trust me, this wasn't just random people commenting. This was kind of a planned thing, and I'm not cool with that. I'm also going to have to stop, unfortunately, doing international shipments when I have trivia giveaways. You know, the Night Force scope that I sent to the winner in Australia came back to me already, and I have to try to resend it again. Your Aussie Customs called and said it was a dangerous item, which is ridiculous. The package I sent to Canada required a small fee, I guess, for the guy I sent it to pick it up, and he refused the package. He rejected it. So that's coming back to me too. You know, and last year I shipped things to Germany and Portugal, and that was a nightmare that cost me hundreds of extra dollars in fees. And it's regrettable because one of the things I like about having those trivias is just, people around the world kind of competing with each other for the prizes. I actually enjoy that to a certain extent, but man, countries are just getting very strict and very problematic when it comes to shipping goods there anymore, especially anything that might be involved with hunting. But on a positive note, I have some great videos planned for November, including an awesome fantasy hunt. And I've been working on that for a long time after a subscriber ask me a question related to that. But you guys are going to love it. It's kind of uncharted territory, literally and figuratively. Well, I hope you have a safe and happy Halloween this year, and don't eat too much candy. I personally have a Reese's peanut butter cup weakness, and I got to do my best to put that in control this year, because I will eat every Reese's peanut butter cup I see. Well, you can reach me with any questions or comments at desertdogoutdoors@gmail.com. Thank you for watching, and as always, good hunting.